Okay, so we have yacht chef Nick Routledge here. Quite new to the industry, I guess you are. But if you want to start with kind of like where you're from and kind of where you grew up, I guess it's kind of cool to hear the backstory of how you got to a point of like your first time that you thought about becoming a chef or your first food experience. So if you want to go back to where you grew up.
Okay, so I grew up in a little seaside town called Southport in England, sort of near Liverpool. Um, went to school there, grew up there, and I'd always sort of been interested in cooking, especially at home. I would always cook for my parents, only sort of simple things, but you'd always find me in the kitchen from a very young age.
Like how old were you then?
So then I was probably about 15, 16.
Okay.
Well, even earlier than that, honestly, about 8.
Wow. Actually cooking for your parents or just like helping out?
Sort of helping out. To be honest, I think the reason I became a chef was because my mum wasn't always the best cook.
Okay.
So I find myself in there helping her quite a bit.
Very cool. And so what was your first, you did your apprenticeship back home?
No, so I didn't actually do an apprenticeship back
Okay.
home. So it's quite a bizarre story, actually. So throughout my childhood and growing up, I'd sort of tried different jobs when I was younger. There wasn't too much going on in Southport. I tried sort of a lot of manual work, labouring, that sort of stuff.
Wow.
But my friend told me about a job he had in France where he was working on like an activity centre.
Uh-huh.
And this activity centre was teaching kids how to rock climb, abseil, canoe, all that sort of stuff. I actually fancied quite a bit of it, so I ended up applying for the job, got the job, went over there, got into that for a little bit, but part and parcel of that was the cooking side. You had to cook meals for these kids.
Oh, cool.
So I fell into the kitchen there with a lady called Rachel, who was so passionate about what she did. And she taught me sort of the fundamentals of being a chef, always being organised, taught me the basics because we were only doing sort of basic cooking there, cooking for these kids. So yeah, that's sort of where I got introduced to it.
Very cool. And then, I mean, I've read through your background of the restaurants you worked at, the chalets, all these different types of chef roles, I guess. So if you want to start like kind of at the beginning there.
Okay, so I touched on obviously going to France, and that was sort of my first taste of working away, working in a kitchen. After doing that for, I think it was a year and a half, I sort of decided you get like a little bit of bug of working away, don't you? So I decided I want to continue that, and that was only mostly during the summer. So I was sort of looking for things to do in the winter. Then I ended up going to a ski resort in France.
Where was that?
So my first ski resort was Latanya.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Was it snowboarding, skiing?
A snowboarder.
Snowboard,
Yeah,
me too.
absolutely. Yeah, I've seen a couple of...
Yeah, I did a couple of seasons in Morsey and Avoriaz, and some of the best times of my life, like just being up in the mountains, getting paid nothing, but just having the best time, like it was super cool. So I miss those days. So you work in a chalet though, right?
Yes. Well, the first job I had over there was a place called Public Ski Lodge.
Okay.
And it was, funny enough, my first proper head chef there. He was an Aussie.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and he was so young and so talented, and it was actually really good to see because like the amount of passion that he had sort of really inspired me to get in the kitchen because it's not an easy job to get into, it's sort of long hours, unsociable hours, so to have a great leader from the very first time was absolutely fantastic.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what did you learn from that, like from that experience?
So it's really bizarre actually because he taught me a few key things that he as a head chef, would sort of expect someone, because I said to him that I wanted to carry on when I went back to England, he sort of said, right, I'll teach you a few basics that I would probably want to see as a head chef myself, sort of. So he taught me the very basic knife skills, a julienne, a brunoise, how to fillet a flat fish, just sort of simple things like that. So once I left him and I'd spent a bit of time with him, I went back to England. I went for a trial, and one of the questions he asked me was, "Can you fillet a flat fish?" Well, of course,
no
now
way.
I could.
Ready to go.
Yeah, so
Wow.
did that, and then just test me on my cutting techniques, and then obviously already knew them.
Was this one of the Michelin restaurants, or was this?
So this was a 3 rosette this that I went to. So very fortunate, I think, to get a position there because, you know, a lot of the times people look for people with experience, don't they?
Definitely, yeah.
But like I said, you know, sometimes I think it doesn't depend on experience all the time. When you're going for an interview, you sort of want to see people who have got the right attitude.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's, you know, that you're kind of like 70% of the way. If you're giving 100% and the right attitude and just, you know, listening to, I guess, the chefs and taking on all the things that they're saying, like you're already kind of halfway there.
Yep.
If you're an arrogant person that just doesn't want to listen to, you know, someone that's teaching you, that's, you know, it's a lot harder, a lot different. But so that was the 3 rosette. And then you had a bit of a couple of Michelin restaurants after that, right?
Yes. So after I sort of went to and from. The funny thing is, isn't it? Because like I'd had a taste of working in Michelin, which is like doing absolutely fantastic food. It gets addictive working there, but also I had a taste of working in the Alps, you know, sort of the fun side. So
Yeah.
part of being a chef is trying to get that work-life balance right, isn't it?
They are 2 ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely. So I'd find myself doing a 6 months in the Alps, 6 months in a Michelin restaurant.
Amazing.
But, you know, the Michelin restaurant I went into at the time was a 1-star 4 rosette, and it had a notorious reputation for being a very, very, very hard kitchen.
Okay.
But it was fantastic. It was such high pressure, and I think I thrive a lot more personally in high pressure environments. You know, you say sort of sink or swim, don't they? And when I arrived there, the chef said to me, he said, "Oh, you know, sort of, thanks for coming down here." He said, "We've had a busy lunch service. We've got 200 booked in tonight." And
This is your first day?
Yeah, and we're a couple of chefs down. And I'm like, oh my word.
Perfect.
Yeah. But do you know what? It was fantastic. We had a couple of great leaders there, great head chef, great sous chef. Everyone pulled together, dug deep, and got the job done. But what it taught me was to be super, super organised. You know, communication, organisation, I think, 2 of the biggest things in the kitchen. And yeah, that was absolutely incredible. And to do such great food as well. Cooked for a couple of good chefs as well whilst we were there.
Oh, really? Like,
yeah.
Who's that?
So Tom Kerridge.
Okay.
I've actually cooked for him twice now,
No
which
way.
is quite bizarre. But even he came into the kitchen to speak to the team afterwards, and he's like, you know, sort of, where's the rest of the crew?
No way.
Yeah, because he didn't expect us to be doing such high volume.
With such small team.
Yeah.
Wow, that's super cool.
Yep.
And where is that? Where is that restaurant?
So that is in a place called Orpington, just outside of Kent.
Very cool.
Back
Very
in the
cool.
UK.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different. I love chef. You know, a career as a chef, you can do so many different things, like chalets, you know, restaurants, yachts. You know, the mining industry, which we're going to talk about. But there's just so many different roads you can go down to create something for yourself, and you can pick one that kind of balances out. Like the Michelin is kind of work, and you know, you're the top of your game, and then there's the chalets, which is, you know, a bit of play, bit of work, and then kind of in the middle there's yachting, I think. But but you worked in the mining industry as well, back where I'm from, I guess, Australia.
Yeah. So it's quite bizarre actually, because like I had a couple of friends that are a chef, and they'd been to Australia, and they told me about the mining roles out there, and it was there was a couple of things that appealed to me. Obviously, going to Australia because I'd never been there for one.
Yeah.
The fact that it was rotational.
Was it? How was it? 4 weeks?
Yeah, so it's actually quite bizarre in the mining industry, because you can do 4 days on, 3 days off, a week on, week off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. You can sort of pick your own sort of schedule, which is quite nice.
Yeah, those smaller rotations are nice, but for me, like I worked kind of in the mining industry for a little bit, like very quickly, but it's a lot harder up there for some reason. It's like you're in usually a dirty, dusty place with a bunch of other dudes, and it's just like, it's a little bit more lonely than being on a yacht, I think. I don't know, your experience might have been different, but...
No, 100%. That's absolutely right, because, a load of dusty dudes all the time, because it is predominantly men that are there, aren't they, working?
Which is I don't know. It's just, it feels like a lot longer when you're up in the desert or up in the, I don't know if you want to call it desert, but you know, red dirt is the best way to explain it. It's hot, it's dry, it's dusty, and it just feels a lot longer out there than if you were to do, you know, rotation on yachts, longer rotation on yachts.
100%. I think you've got a lot more things going on yachts, haven't you? You know, you might be travelling somewhere,
Exactly.
you might be coming into port, you might be going to anchor. There's quite a lot more variables going on. Whereas, you know, sort of out in the desert, you've only got your donga,
Yeah.
or you go into work, or maybe
So,
the gym.
just stopping you there on the donga, because not many people know what that is, but it's your little like accommodation hut. It sounds a little bit dirty, but it's actually for your accommodation. That's what they call it there for some reason. But moving on. So after that, how did you find out about yachting? Was that kind of your next step?
So,
roughly?
going back to when I was working in the Alps, I was one of the jobs I had there was working in this luxury ski chalet, and I was very, very lucky, to be honest, because we had a Michelin starred chef that was there,
Oh, cool.
Jonathan Marsden Jones.
In the chalet?
Yeah. So
Wow.
he had he had a star before, then he came out there, then he got his star afterwards again.
Wow. What chalet is this?
So this was called Firmly Montagne.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in
Interesting.
a little place called Le Jet.
Oh yeah, not far from Morzine.
Yeah,
Okay.
We used to go over there.
Yeah,
for
very
a little,
cool.
slide around, yeah.
Wait, so this is a Michelin chef in a chalet?
Yeah.
How big is the chalet? How many people?
So this is really, really bizarre.
I've never heard of this.
This will blow your mind, because most chalets that you go to, from what I believe, is sort of like 2 or 3 people maybe, looking after maybe up to 18 guests.
Uh-huh.
We were different. We had 14 people working for us.
What?
Yeah. And we catered for up to 18 guests, but we never really had that.
Wow.
Probably 12 at the max.
So this is basically like a super yacht on land. Like that's this version of.
Absolutely, yeah. Sort
Wow.
of, you know, absolute quality, and almost one-to-one service.
Wow.
You know, we were a brigade of 3 chefs in the kitchen. We had a breakfast chef as well.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so
that's
he'd
insane.
do breakfast, and then we'd get first lifts every day. Yeah, it was absolutely insane.
That sounds dreamy, actually.
Yeah.
3 chefs. Man, I would actually love to work there.
But sorry, So basically, from that, we had I met a chef called Gaz, who was an incredible chef, probably one of the best chefs I've met, someone that I look up to. And he, whilst we were there, we had a captain on, and he ended up enjoying the food, the captain.
He was a guest.
Yeah.
Damn. See, that's captain salaries. He's out there in one of the best chalets eating Michelin food in the mountains. But anyway, so captain was there.
Yeah, the captain was there, and he loved the food that he did, and he sort of said what he was doing, and you know, sort of spoke to my friend Gaz, and my friend Gaz loves to speak to people, and he sort of showed a bit more of an interest, and the captain, you know, sort of said, I've always thought of doing it. At this point, I hadn't really thought about it too much. So Gaz ended up cooking for him. He got on a job, was on a yacht. And ever since then, obviously keeping in touch over Facebook and stuff and social media, I've seen that he's living the life on the yachts. And I thought, you know what? I'd love to do a bit of that one day. So I sort of got my first little bit of a taste there.
Amazing. So did you get a job through that, or you just kind of just...
No, so I was always meaning to get in. After seeing maybe a couple of years of what he was doing, I sort of thought, oh, I'll get round to it. But then I ended up going to Australia, spent quite a bit of time there.
Gotcha, okay.
So, you know, do wish I'd got into it a little bit sooner. Maybe not, because I wouldn't have had all these other wonderful experiences.
Exactly, yeah. I think everything's meant to happen for a reason. But did you just talk briefly about your time in Australia? Because amazing country. I'm from a place called Noosa, which is just above Brisbane. I don't know if you traveled through there at all.
Do you know what? I didn't actually get over to the East Coast, because when I was there, it was during COVID.
Oh, you stayed in West Coast?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Which is also beautiful.
Yep.
If you get a chance to travel up to the Coral Bay and Exmouth and
Absolutely,
all those places, one of my favorite places in the world. So then what was your first yachting job, and how did you get it?
So it was I actually found it quite hard to get into the industry. It's really, really quite tough. I thought
It's tough.
having such great land-based experience, you know, I'd be able to get into the industry a lot easier. But, you know, a lot of people ask for you know, a little bit of experience, and it's sort of like a catch-22, isn't it? How do you get the experience if you can't get on?
It's tough because, you know, a lot of captains do say, like, we want a Michelin star chef, you know, someone that's working Michelin restaurants, and then some of these chefs will go straight to the big boats, but also it doesn't always happen like that. And I understand why, because I remember my first job stepping onto a yacht, and you know, I came from dive boats, so I was a bit riffraff, and you know, that first yacht has to mold you, and that you're going to make those mistakes on that yacht, and then that's kind of the risk that they're taking. So I get that, you know, I get where they're coming from. So what was I trying to get at here? So yeah, getting your foot in the door. They've been burnt a few times, so they're kind of a little bit wary with completely green chefs. I don't know your first experience on the yacht, but it's all a bit, I don't know, it's all very new and eye-opening.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like you say, you know, it's hard to get your foot in the door, but the good thing is there are people out there, you know, who are willing to take a chance because they do understand, obviously, you know, sort of where they came from and how they got into it. But my first role was a temporary role.
Okay. Yeah.
Sort of, you know, I sort of would take anything I could get to try and get my foot in the door, just so I had a bit of experience, so I could say to people that I've got a bit of experience working on the yacht. And that was basically just being a cruise chef,
Okay.
covering a chef's holiday. So he was off for a month.
How big was that boat?
That was a 28-metre.
Okay, cooking for a few crew.
Yeah, just cooking for, I think it was 3 crew.
Okay.
So yeah, a nice easy gig to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess.
I think the benefit of taking a risk on someone as well is, like, yes, maybe they're, you know, not going to adapt as well, but if they are great chefs, you're eating Michelin star food, you know, on smaller boats. So these people take risks on a chef like you, and they're probably eating really well.
Absolutely,
you know?
yeah.
Compared to someone that, you know, a stew cook or someone that's not very, you know, as diverse as you. So you've come in and you're cooking all this amazing food on a small boat.
Yeah.
So they would have loved it.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, you know, but and from that, you know, one of the things, the yacht industry is a very small industry, isn't it? And, you know, just doing that alone, I met some great people there, and you tend to stay in contact with them. And like you know, I've got a job on another yacht since, and
Oh, wicked.
yeah.
So your next yacht after that, how long?
So after that, I got a job on a yacht called Living the Dream, bizarrely.
Oh, yeah.
A 40-metre, which I always sound rather corny because people say, "Oh, what's the name of the yacht?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm living the dream." Of course you are.
Did it live up to its name?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was quite funny that, because obviously when you get into the yachting industry, there's so many different things, isn't there? And you don't always know. Like, some people say it's either private, it's charter. You have liveaboard owners, which I didn't realise at the time. Some people would live aboard for like so many months, and that was one of them. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? Keep it nice.
Yeah.
Keep it positive.
Yeah. Well, it's very tough, very demanding, but. Do you know what? I was quite lucky, I think, because the owners were a little bit older. I sort of think it depends on like the age of the owners. You know, there's a lot of variables there as well. But these owners were a little bit older. They weren't quite as maybe demanding as
a little bit slower pace.
Slower pace. That's the right way to say it. Yeah, a slower pace. But yeah, dinner times are all very structured. With that slower pace comes, you know, a bit more structure. Sort of getting up at 9 o'clock for breakfast rather than sort of
That's
sometimes
nice.
2 or 4.
There you go. Yeah.
You know how it can be. Yeah, everything was sort of structured, which is quite nice. Again, they were Aussie owners, so they were really cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Where was this?
This was in the south of France.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
south of France. But we had a great itinerary, actually. We started in the south of France, worked our way to Montenegro, was there for a little bit, then did a lot of Croatia, which was absolutely fantastic.
It's beautiful over there, yeah.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, lots to discover because it's a massive coastline with islands and beautiful place. Pretty good produce as well. Like the tomatoes there are amazing. It is a little bit more difficult than the south of France. You can't get, you know, as many products, but it's still nice if you got some chilled guests.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the nice thing, you know, going to some of the markets and when I touch back on the owners that I had and the guests, they didn't want all the luxurious stuff all the time, like caviar and wagyu and things like that. If you could go out and source some great local ingredients and put something together, and sometimes you don't have to like take too much away from the ingredients, you know what I mean?
I was about to ask you, so when I first started, I thought I had to do all this crazy molecular, 10 years ago, all these like crazy things that I thought were cool, foams and stuff. Now I've gone back to confident in my cooking, and I just love to, not mess around with the ingredients too much these days, and just really just let the ingredients shine, rather than like making it a puree, dehydrating it, rehydrating it, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I just want to eat food for food and not like, mess around with it too much.
Yeah, absolutely. It sort of blows my mind that we've learned in this day and age that we can do that. But that was part of the great thing about, like, when you look in the 70s and 80s, the style of cooking, because now we look back at like a Marco dish or something, Pierre Kaufman, and it was like turned vegetables or,
Yeah.
or a simple terrine of like leeks and lobster, which nowadays sort of, I don't think it would be the equivalent of a 3-star dish, but you have to understand they didn't have the equipment and know-how of cooking that we do now. So to get all those leeks perfectly cooked so that when you slice through it, it's one nice slice, to show your skill doing all the different cuts of the vegetables, it's...
Yeah.
They didn't take too much away from the food, did they? They let the sort of ingredients speak for themselves.
Definitely, yeah. It's gone through a few ups and downs, and I think we're kind of coming back slowly to letting the ingredients, I think so, speak for themselves, and people just want to eat real food and just nice food. So what did you take away from working in these Michelin restaurants and mining, the mining industry and chalets that you kind of combined to bring to a yacht? Like, what aspects did you take from all of those to be on a yacht now, and what's the positives from those
I'd probably say one of the most important, absolutely, organisation, isn't it? You've got to be organised. Your life can either be easy on the yacht or like extremely difficult, depending on your organisation. You always get last minute requests from the guests and things, but if you have sort of things, a backup, then things aren't really too hard. You can be really adaptable, can't you?
Definitely.
Also, just being adaptable. Being able to sort of bounce into the mining and sort of do that style of cooking, then going into Michelin kitchens, doing that. I think I did a little bit of agency work back in England as well, some temp work. And I think that really gave me quite a bit of confidence, because I could just walk into places and people could ask me to do jobs and I'd know how to do them, and probably to a good standard as well.
Wow.
So after going to a couple of different places, and sort of getting that gives you a little bit more confidence. So taking that into yachting, a lot of the fundamentals stay the same in a galley or a kitchen, don't they? Organised, cleanliness, teamwork, being able to talk to people, communication. So I think taking a little bit of all of that, putting into the yachting's really sort of helped me.
Yeah, and different variations of everything, of all types of cuisines. You're wearing all types of hats all throughout the day. One moment you're cooking, Italian, next moment sushi at dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's quite essential to becoming a yacht chef, is to wear all those different hats and have the basics of all of them. Google, you can figure out the rest.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a great way to think about it. I want to really talk to you about, you're quite fresh in the industry, I guess. How many months have you worked on yachts?
So I've been sort of, first job was like 18 months ago.
Okay.
But I'd say overall probably about 12 months.
12 months total.
Yeah.
So what, like, from your perspective, what is the most, I guess, challenging parts of working on a yacht compared to on land? You're working by yourself now, you're on a smaller, more compact galley or kitchen space, all these different things. Being alone, away from the family, like, what's the biggest takeaways?
I'll say one of the things that definitely caught me out that I never thought about was pastry.
Oh yeah.
Scales. Never even.
Pain in the arse.
Yeah, never even came into my mind. Like trying to weigh out ingredients. So
Yeah,
obviously,
the boat's moving around all the time. So we're watching some videos today that I did, and Peyton behind the camera there was like, it's moving like 100 grams sometimes,
Yeah.
depending how rough it is. But it's tough. I mean, people come up with all these. There's books out there. I bought a book from. It was in Mallorca once, but it tells you the weight for like the flour, the butter, the liquids for. It's quite handy to have.
Oh, that's absolute gold.
I'll try and link that below, but it's that saved me a lot of times, especially when I first started the boat. Didn't even have internet, so I was it was tough.
Wow, yeah.
I couldn't even Google,
Yeah, and of course we take that for granted now.
We do,
Just
yeah.
being able to Google something.
Yeah, we do. So like working, have you just been a sole chef most of the?
Yeah,
yachts?
so I've been a sole chef, which it's quite bizarre, really, isn't it, being a sole chef? Because you do sort of miss that camaraderie of being in a team, and like having to do everything yourself. That's why it's so important to be organised. But I find it quite enjoyable, to be honest, because at the same time, especially being a sole chef, it's your own menu, isn't it, that you're doing? Your own menu, your own ideas. And it's nice to sort of showcase. That's one of the best things I think about sort of getting onto the yacht, which I really look forward to, because a lot of the time you don't really have a budget.
Yeah. Isn't that fantastic?
Absolutely.
There's not some head chef on your ass, like
Absolutely.
going through the bin maybe, or I mean, we don't try to waste, but at least we have the opportunities to get what we want. There's no that plate could cost $500 for the guest or $1,000 for the guest on a yacht, and there's no reason why we cannot do that, because we're not there to make money. So I think that's one of the brilliant things about being on a yacht, is just we don't have to make a profit on that plate.
Yeah. And it's just a chance to showcase everything that you've learned.
And
And one of the things I love about the guests, and like a lot of people, or I don't know, I've heard some chefs saying they don't like to go out and speak to the guests, or they might find it a little bit intimidating
really?
sometimes. Yeah.
No, you have to. Yeah. Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, absolutely love
Yeah.
it. Because that's one of the wonderful things about being a chef, is being able to introduce people to like new ingredients, new concepts, things that they haven't tried before.
Tell a bit of a story.
Yeah. Well, most recently we had the owners on board, and like she had fantastic taste in things, and she would sort of say to me sometimes, Nick, I would like this, I would like this. She gave me a provisions list, but then she'd sort of say like, I'd like you to come up with a 3-day menu. And then she'd sort of like try and control what was going on the plate a little bit. And I was like, right, we'll do that for a couple of days. And then she got wind of like what the crew were having, and she was like, oh my God, that sounds fantastic.
Because you were doing what you...
Sort of what you told. But the funny thing about that, and that's what I explained to her, is if you do things like that, she's got a certain concept of maybe a dish or something that she's had before.
Yeah, definitely.
So unless you deliver it exactly the same, it's going to be a little bit different, you know what I mean? Whereas if she just said to you, right, I like this, go and show me what you can do, you do something absolutely fantastic that she hadn't tried before. And
there's no expectations of her.
Absolutely.
Sorry to come back to Peyton again, but we've been doing a series at the moment where she has this dish in her mind that she's from America, so I'm from Australia, so there's a bit of a difference there, but she has this dish in her mind and the way that she wants it executed. So we've been doing a series of her telling me exactly how she wants it, down to the T. And when I used to make it, she used to explain it to me, and I used to make it the way that I think it should be made. And it didn't come out the way that she had it in her head.
Okay,
and she would just be like, it sounds very similar situation. So there's this expectations of a dish that they've had before, and they want you to recreate it. And if it doesn't come out like that, there's a certain disappointment.
Absolutely, yeah. But that's sort of what I like about when you're going in and eating out as well, like these little unsuspecting restaurants. A lot of the time, if you go to a starred restaurant especially, you've got this expectation that it's going to be fantastic.
And you're paying a lot of money.
Absolutely. But when I was doing a little bit of eating and going out myself, sometimes I've been to a 2-star and I didn't think maybe it wasn't quite what I'd expected. But then I've been to a 1-star and it's absolutely blown my socks off.
Wow.
So I like sort of going out and eating, or when you've got no expectation of something, and then you deliver something else. You know, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So when or when the guests don't know what they're getting, and then you give them something that they absolutely love.
Yeah, that's
Fantastic.
cool. Yeah, that's amazing. So just to kind of start to wrap it up, in your view, from your experience you've had so far, what separates a good yacht chef from an incredible yacht chef, do you think? If you could give any kind of advice.
A good one from a great one. I think definitely adaptability and having a real
Yeah.
understanding of, like you touched on before, you've got to have a real understanding of so many different cuisines, dietary requirements, because some chefs sort of like overlook dietary requirements, don't they, or don't like them, and it's a very big thing.
It's massive.
Yeah, but we're so fortunate now because now we've got so many different ingredients, so many substitutes, so many things that we can use. Cooking dietary requirements isn't really too much of an issue anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, there's some great resources out there, and yeah, as you said, ingredients, and it's not that hard anymore, which is good.
But like having a great attitude as well, working well with staff. There's just so many things, I think, isn't there?
There is. And if you could give any advice, because you found it hard to get your foot in the door a little bit, any advice to someone that wants to get into the yachting industry, what would you say to them? Like, don't give up and just try different avenues.
Be open-minded and resilient, I think.
Yeah.
Because open-minded, because it is quite hard to get a job, and sometimes you see it with like people dock walking and things like that. To keep on going and don't let things get you down, because there was a time where sort of I questioned, am I doing the right thing, because I thought it'd be easy to get into. So you've got to be a little bit resilient, keep on pushing, and then when you get in there, you've got to be open-minded, because like it's hard to land your first dream job on the yacht, because it might not be necessarily what you wanted. A lot of people want to go straight to a big yacht, they want to go to this, they want to go to that, maybe they want rotational because they've heard about it or seen about it. But I think you've got to sort of get your foot in the door, be quite persistent, but also watch YouTube channels.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. I think something that sort of helped me have a great understanding of the yachting industry was watching both yourself and Nina.
Oh, wicked, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to get an insight of what it's actually like.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, definitely that helps, and I will be releasing my Yacht Chef Masterclass. I haven't really told anyone, but that's going to give a great insight of what it's like to be a yacht chef from the start to the end, before you even have to leave your home to the south of France and spend a bunch of money to be here. But I think it also comes down to the right place, right time. Like just being at top of mind for the chefs, jump in their DMs and go to the bars, not get too drunk, but go to the bars and meet lots of people and show your personality. And like, there's going to be a right time where one of the sous chefs has left or hurt themselves or whatever, and you're going to get an opportunity on the boat. So don't give up. Don't be put off by that first initial, the beginning where it's like tough to get a reply from anyone.
Absolutely. I think you really hit the nail on the head there with speaking to everyone.
Everyone.
Absolutely, everyone.
Networking.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because like you say, you never know what that might lead to.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, personality is a big part of it. I mean, you should hopefully be able to cook, but personality, living on a boat with a bunch of people is such a big thing. So get out there, show your personality, and all the best. But thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Sweet, mate.
Cheers.